like Ventura TV Appliance on Facebook, it's nice. But when you love the Samsung big screen we deliver, it's even better. Our website is cool, and it's a good place to start. But you really should touch the merchandise before you buy. Time for that upgrade to an HD 3D web-enabled Samsung TV. Get the best selection, price, and service in town without waiting. Come in to Ventura TV Appliance and touch the merchandise today.
Hi, I'm John Mallows. Welcome to this live edition of Connect With Me on the showroom floor at Ventura TV on this day. It's a community day here on Connect With Me. And guess what? We're going to be talking about conflict resolution, peacemaking, all of the above with a local attorney. 436 MeTV option 11 is the number. Do turn down the sound if you call in, because if you don't, we will not be able to take your call. We're back with our program in just a moment. Welcome back to the program here on Connect With Me on MeTV Fresno on this day. We're on Comcast channel 187 and 43.6. You're watching us live right now. Hey, the telephone number if you want to call in is 436 MeTV option 11. Please, my friends, do turn down the sound, because recently we've gotten some calls and we can't hear you because you got the TV blaring in the background. We appreciate your call. We want you to call in. That's why this show is named Connect With Me. We want you to connect with us, but please do your part and turn down the sound. All right, let's talk a little bit about the city of Fresno, or maybe even the county, or maybe both. How about the central San Joaquin Valley as a whole? We'll talk about that. A series, just a myriad of controversial issues taking place right here in the Central Valley. Of course, political issues the last couple of years, there's no doubt about it. You've got the city fighting the county and all sorts of things. I want to put some of those up on the screen so you can kind of take a look at them right now. There is a battle right now for water here in the Central Valley. It's the east side versus the west side. Man versus fish. Then the mayor and the council want to raise your water rates. Doug Vagum, the former supervisor, says, nope, I want to try to stop that. Also, decisions that have already been made on the following: BRT, the Fulton Mall, Measure G, high-speed rail, and how about the mayor, my friends, taking her share of hits in the media for hiring a new city spokesperson for the tune of $125,000 a year? What? But these aren't the only problems facing Fresno, as we see now in this video written and produced by the Fresno Business Council and voiced by local attorney Doug Noll, a program that he calls Community Transformation.
We live in a country defined by opportunity. Opportunities to create financial independence, to innovate where free enterprise is encouraged, to start one's life anew, to create wealth and happiness and personal security. Yet beneath our country's growing prosperity, there are a number of seemingly intractable problems that plague and continue to plague our communities. Growing unemployment, a struggling educational system, poor air quality, increased drug abuse, water shortages, financial stress on our public systems, businesses struggling to compete in a global market. At varying levels, these problems are experienced across the country, but they are uniquely and deeply experienced by the people living in the San Joaquin Valley.
Live in our studio now is Doug Noll. He's a local attorney who has a master's degree in peacemaking and conflict studies. He also helped develop a peacemaking program at the women's prison, the state prison in Chowchilla, and now he has installed that program in 2 other prisons as well. Your phone calls are important. 436 MeTV option 11 is stated at the top of this program if you want to join the program, and talked about peacemaking, conflict resolution. There's so many issues going on in the Central Valley. How are we going to, as a whole, as a community, solve some of these problems, come together in a peaceful way and do it? Doug has the answers. I don't know if we can get it done. 436 MeTV option 11. Back in just a moment.
Now, why don't you tell us the whole story right from the beginning? All right, from the beginning. This is the city, Los Angeles, California. My name's Friday. I carry a badge. Police officers.
You any idea who the other man was?
My partner's Bill Gannon.
Program?
We got just one big question.
Yeah.
When?
Now on MeTV Fresno, Xfinity 187.
Back here on the program, my friends, are you having an argument right now with your better half? Are you having an argument with your best friend? Maybe your cousin, maybe you're yelling at your kids or grandkids right now. It's called peacemaking, conflict resolution. The man who is here to help us all right here on the set of Connect With Me is Doug Noll. How are you, Doug?
Doing well, John.
How are you?
I'm doing well.
So, peacemaking, conflict resolution, it's all the same to me. But so talk about this program. What is it?
Are we talking about peacemaking in general or the prison project?
Yeah, we'll talk about the prison project in just a few minutes.
So generally, I was a trial lawyer for many years.
I know.
And I went back to school at Fresno Pacific and got my master's degree, and my life changed because I learned that human conflict is endemic, but there are systemic and practical ways of helping people resolve their conflicts when they think there's no hope.
Even politicians?
Even politicians.
Even the most stubborn of politicians
Even
that
the
see
most-
things just one way.
Even the most stubborn of politicians, if they're willing to learn. Now, there are a lot of people who, especially in politics, who like the fight. They get the adrenaline rush.
Right.
And they're a little bit more difficult to deal with.
But see, when I talk about conflict resolution, peacemaking, I'm talking about it in two different fronts. I'm talking about it from solving Fresno's political problems,
Right.
economic problems, and solving some of the violent issues that are taking place in our society. The prisons, obviously, inside the prisons, outside the prisons, obviously. So let's start with the political aspect of it and Fresno's problems. I want to put up the community transformation. City leaders must do the following. Let's put that up real quick here. And this is one of the things I took from your video. You say that city leaders must plan, they must think, they must collaborate, they must work together to solve the city's problems. Must, but they're not doing it.
Correct.
So what would you do to interject?
Well, I think the first thing that has to happen is they have to be engaged and be motivated to want to solve problems.
Yeah.
I'm afraid that today we have many political officials who don't really want to solve problems. They like the power game, they like the power politics.
The money.
They like the money. They have patrons that support them, and they are beholden to those patrons. And the idea of good public policy or community policy is not at the top of their agenda.
Well, you look at that list there that we put up. I mean,
Right.
the city and the county alone, they're fighting amongst each other, but they're fighting against each other as well.
Right.
How do you solve something like that?
Again, it's engagement.
So you're saying if you get the city and county leaders engaged, they'll stop arguing and
That's
fighting?
been our experience, yes.
Really?
Yeah. In fact, I have watched that happen. And when Andreas Borges approached Ashley Swearingen at an event, and they talked for 20 minutes and actually had a very cordial, engaged conversation. And when Andreas took the idea back to the Board of Supervisors to let's start engaging with the city, the other four members
What was
voted
the
down.
argument about? What was the disagreement about?
The city and the county have a lot of fundamental disagreements about everything. And they're really not fundamental disagreements. It's really about who's the bigger dog. And it's really very petty what they argue over. But so it doesn't really have to do with, in my opinion, it doesn't have to do with the substance. It has to do with the personalities. And there has just been built a culture in this community of fighting.
So you were able to get Borges?
No, I didn't do it. I observed it.
You observed it?
I observed it.
Oh, I
They
see.
did it on their own, and I happened to be there and watched, and I said, I walked by and gave them a big thumbs up because I was very pleased that they were able to actually talk to each other and engage in a very deep way. And that's very powerful, and we need to have more of that. We brought city leaders together in private retreats, and we've watched amazing results come from this. So it's a matter of just engagement, and I think it's incumbent upon us as community people, citizens, to get these people to engage with each other and not just allow them to run roughshod.
Take a call here, Doug. Good morning. You're on with Doug Noll. What's your question?
Yeah, my question is, my name's Alfred Benavides, and I live in a small town named Hanford, and we have a city councilman that when we talk about collaboration, do we talk about collaboration just within the city and the county? I was thinking of collaborating with like Silicon Valley and having Silicon Valley companies invest in our cities, creating jobs and instead of going out of the country.
It turns out that Silicon Valley has the same kinds of problems we have here. They just have a lot more money, but their problems are exactly the same. They have dysfunctional government. They have community people who are not engaged in the governance of the community in San Jose and Santa Clara up there, and their interest, and of course they're all focused on their own self-interests.
So what's the strategy that you recommend? I mean, I want to know the theory and the strategy behind it. Oh, thank you for the call. I appreciate it. What is your strategy in trying to get two parties together, whether it be a husband and wife, whether it be two best friends, whether it be in the prisons, whether it be with our leaders? So what's your strategy? The strategy
is it's very simple but very hard. The strategy is to get people into the same room.
Okay.
Leaving their AK-47s at the door.
All right. And what if they enter the building yelling and screaming
at each other? As long as I can get them into the same room, they can yell and scream. I wanted to agree to a couple of basic ground rules, and then my time is going to be spent de-escalating their emotions, getting them quieted down, and getting them to listen to each other. Once they start listening to each other, which is a process.
How long will that take?
It depends. It usually takes about a half an hour to an hour. In most cases.
Because they start getting tired out.
Well, and I teach them how to listen. Listening is not conversation. Listening is not arguing. Listening is a very different skill.
So the key is listening?
That is the key. That's the secret. After they start listening to each other and they feel like they've been heard, then we can move into a problem-solving mode. And we can go into start thinking about how do we solve this problem.
It's that simple.
It's that simple. But it's very hard to do because our brains are not hardwired for that. And you need a third party there to help you work your way through it.
There's got to be something more to it than that.
Serious, it's that simple. It's it's very hard work to do because you're fighting against your own brain nature. When you do this. Yeah,
you're fighting
nature, but you're fighting your own brain.
Good morning. You're on Connect with Me. How are you?
Very good, thank you. Good morning to both of you.
Good. What's your question?
One quick question. How do you expect these ideas to happen in a society where it's a very oppressive society, where they would rather punish you than reward you? I mean, the amount of prison and prisoners that we have just kind of doesn't let that happen.
Yeah. Well,
it's a peaceful society to begin with.
You're absolutely correct about that. And so rather than look at this at the societal level, which is composed of millions and millions of individuals, my thinking is to teach these skills at a personal level. And as people to learn these skills, as we've learned in the prisons, as they learn these skills, that they tend to reduce violence, they tend to reduce conflict, and they tend to grow. They get self-awareness, and they move away from their previously violent tendencies. And so it's a matter of teaching people how to do this. We should be teaching this to 4-year-olds. We should be teaching.
Start with changing our leaders, getting them out, and putting in someone who's less opposed to your ideas.
We could do that.
We could do that, but I think that I would rather take leaders that we already have and try to engage them, and only if they don't want to be engaged would they be removed.
All right, caller, thank you much. We're got to take a break here on Connect With Me. I'm going to ask, when I come back after the break, I'm going to ask Doug how he would deal with a guy like Vladimir Putin. Okay, Vladimir Putin. How do you deal with a guy like that if you're the president of the United States? 436 MeTV option 11. Do call in. Do turn down the sound. We're back with our guest in just a moment.
When you're looking for KitchenAid innovation and quality, who has the answers, the selection, the price? Ventura TV Appliance. With billions in nationwide appliance buying power, more than Home Depot and Best Buy combined, we'll help you save. Our low prices on Energy Star qualified KitchenAid appliances save you energy and money, and pay no interest on select models when paid in full within 12 months. Ventura TV Appliance, serving you since 1951.
We're back here on Connect With Me on MeTV Fresno, live on Comcast, 436 MeTV option 11. Doug Noll, an attorney, is here. He's got a master's degree in peacemaking conflict studies. He also helped develop a peacemaking program at one of the state prisons up in Chowchilla. He's got them in 2 others right now. How would you deal with a guy like Vladimir? Vladimir Putin.
First of all, you have to remember that in the context of international foreign relations, it's all about relationships over a long period of time. So Putin has been in power since been in power since around 2000, and what our foreign diplomats have not always so well recognized is that they've got to look at that relationship in the context of a long-term strategy.
Well, don't forget, he's a former KGB
Absolutely,
agent.
and he has
He's
an
shifty.
agenda.
How can you trust him? You never know what he's up to.
Well, on the other hand, we also can push his buttons. Like the reason that I believe that the Ukrainian crisis occurred is because the United States and NATO were about to allow Ukraine into NATO. Imagine if remember the Cuban Missile Crisis in the 1960s?
I don't remember it, but I was a small kid.
Okay, I was in the 6th grade when that happened. We went absolutely crazy when Khrushchev was going to put missiles on Cuba. Imagine how Putin feels with nuclear weapons in Turkey, Poland, Czechoslovakia, now the Ukraine. All pointed at him. What do you think he's going to do?
Yeah.
So part of the reason.
So we put him in a corner, is what
absolutely.
You're saying.
So you want to deal with the guy, you got to really think geostrategically about how he's going to react when you point nuclear missiles at him, and you take his only warm water.
So how would you deal with him if you're the president? What would you do? Call him up and say what?
It depends on the context. It's
a law. Call him up and say, "Hey, get out of Ukraine."
You can't do that because there's no way I can enforce that. I have to. You have to engage the guy and recognize that there's going to have to be some negotiation here.
Okay, so engage him and think negotiation.
Think negotiation and think about long-term problem solving. How can I solve his problems and still protect my own interests?
Back to the problems here in the Central Valley. You say that the issues facing the Central Valley are extreme, complex, multifaceted, deeply entrenched. I want to put the first graphic up on the screen. Economic development. Here it is right there. Business leaders, workforce, companies design and build new products. The next one is called infrastructure. Let's change it right there, which includes land use, transportation, air, water quality. Human development is the next one, and it includes public safety, healthcare, education, and the workforce. Explain, these are the three spheres that you talk about in your video. What do these three spheres, what are they designed to do?
This is a way of looking at how our community is organized and structured. So, and what we've learned in looking at the intractable problems here in the Central San Joaquin Valley is that if you're a leader, let's say in business, so you have a business and you're generating wealth, or you're involved in bringing, as the gentleman asked earlier, bringing new businesses to Fresno, there is only so much you can do before you start bumping into limitations. You cannot bring businesses here unless you have good infrastructure. Infrastructure involves long-term planning, tax dollars, slow, ponderous processes with government, and huge amounts of money for highways, airports, rail, transportation needs, high-speed internet, schools. All that infrastructure has to be built, and it isn't built quickly. The infrastructure people,
our viewers are probably looking at those right now and saying, you know what, that's political rhetoric is what I'm looking at.
But it's the truth. You can't have business without infrastructure. And if you're in infrastructure, you can't have infrastructure unless you have the wealth to pay the taxes to build the infrastructure. And if you're in human development, so you want education, you want hospitals, you want art, you can't have any of that without infrastructure and business development. They're all interrelated. The problem is that no one leader in any of those sectors has the ability to manipulate or control or manage or influence the whole.
Now you talk about the fourth sphere, which is what?
Imagine those three spheres and then a larger fourth sphere wrapping around them with a higher level of leadership called steward leadership.
Which means what?
It means that we have an engaged leader or engaged leaders who lead without power, they lead without an agenda, they're unpaid, and they basically work for the community good.
That's a pipe dream.
It's not. We're doing it right now. We've been doing it for years here. Right now I'm leading a project with Lynn Ashbeck using these exact principles to decriminalize
how can we transfer that over to City Hall? Are you going to say that
City Hall is not the solution? Neither is the County Board of Supervisors. They can't solve anything. They're designed not to solve
anything.
anything.
Why are they getting paid?
They have to manage certain services and provide certain basic services to the citizens, and that's all they can do, and that's all they're allowed to do. But they're not problem solvers.
Doesn't it seem like the mayor, though, in this city is more focused on getting a job at the state level, state controller, and she's looking to escape the city instead of solving some of these problems? She's hiring a spokesman for $125,000 a year.
I don't think $125,000 a year is that much money for a good spokesman.
Really?
But I don't think so.
The mayor makes almost that much.
It doesn't matter to me. If it's a good professional, that's what a good professional is worth. So that's one of the problems with Fresno is we cheapskate everything. We're not willing to pay for good services. This water rate thing is stupid. We've got to pay for the infrastructure. How are we going to do it? How are we going to do it? If we're not willing to pay for good schools, if we're not willing to pay for good water systems, if we're not willing to pay for highways, how are we going to build wealth? We can't do it. We cannot do it.
Well, this has been called the Appalachia of the West.
And it is the Appalachia of the West. It's the poorest congressional district in the United States. Out of every tax dollar we send to Sacramento, we get 85 cents back. We are subsidizing San Francisco and the Bay Area. We have the most intense homelessness per capita of any city in the United States, and we have the most violent homelessness here. We have huge problems.
And you're saying the way to solve it is what those three spheres that we showed?
What I'm talking about is a leadership methodology that engages people in all those spheres to bring them together, to help them problem solve through these deep and intractable issues with a long-term viewpoint, not based on election cycle. And we're doing it in big time.
All right, got to go to break. Doug Noll is our guest. He's a local attorney. He also has his own radio talk show. We'll tell you about that in just a moment after the break. 436 MeTV, option 11, back in a moment.
When you like Ventura TV Appliance on Facebook, it's nice. But when you love the Whirlpool appliances we deliver, it's even better. Our website is cool, and it's a good place to start. But you really should touch the merchandise before you buy. Touch the new Whirlpool Ice Collection. It offers a modern style made to create an inspiring kitchen experience. Save big on this Whirlpool Black Ice or White Ice kitchen. Come in to Ventura TV Appliance and touch the merchandise today.
Back here on Connect with Me, we're talking about the city problems. And look at the city of Bell. We were just talking about that. One official, the city manager, 12 years in prison. He took $1.5 million of city money to pay himself.
Right. Totally wrong. Yeah. Totally wrong. But does that condemn all
city? Abuse of power.
Absolute abuse of power. But does that condemn all government? Absolutely not. That's an anomaly. Why is the Bell example so egregious? Because it's egregious. There are very, very few examples of that in California. That was a really outlying example of abuse of power.
All right, got a phone call here. Good morning, you're on Connect with Me. What's your question? Quickly, short on time.
Yeah, how would somebody get to meet with Doug Noll?
Pardon me?
How would I be able to meet with Doug Noll?
I'm on the web.
That's a great idea.
Okay, all right.
You can Google me, and I've got a whole bunch of websites up, and just catch.
What about a toll-free? You have a toll-free number, don't you? Do you want to give that out? Or? It's an office number, right? Isn't it?
Yeah, 800-785-4487.
Say that slower.
800.
Thank you very much.
785-4487. That's my direct line. It'll come right to my cell phone.
Great. All right. I appreciate the phone call very much. I do want to talk about this. This system, this program that you developed in 2010, it's called Peacemaking and Conflict Resolution for the state prison up in Chowchilla. It's the women's prison there. And here is a small snippet, a portion of the video that Doug helped produce. Let's take a look at it.
We started this to teach a group of women how to be mediators because we were asked to come in to help them learn this skill so that they could reduce the violence in their community. We didn't expect what we ended up with here.
They're where they are for a reason, and what we're trying to do is help them live a better life where they are and serve humanity in whichever way they're called to do, as peacemakers that they're called to.
I truly believe that living in a peaceful environment is safer for everybody involved.
Being able to approach people in a situation where you have high emotions and a lot of conflict going on, anger especially, and being able to step into that and not take it on myself and help them resolve the situation by making their own choices is totally empowering. And it sets the stage for creating understanding, compassion, and empathy between individuals.
It's very important because sometimes we have narrow tunnel vision and we look at things from our perspective, and that's not how you do it. You have to empathize with others. Put yourself in their shoes.
So all of those inmates are in for murder?
Yes, they've all killed somebody or multiple people.
What is the peacemaking and conflict resolution that you developed or helped? You co-founded it in that prison. You started it in 2010.
Right.
What does it entail? Same concept that we've been talking about?
Same concept, adapted to a prison environment. Laurel Coffer, my colleague, got a letter from a woman inmate, Susan Russo, asked us to come in and train them in mediation skills. And It took us 6 months to get permission from the prison authorities to do that, and we decided I decided to do it because I felt that a lot of people think that peacemaking is stupid. It's kumbaya, it's soft, it's wiggy, it's too touchy-feely, and I thought that.
So what purpose does it serve these inmates in prison?
They are there for life. They're not getting out. None of these women are getting out.
So what's the benefit?
The benefit is to live in a peaceful community, because what happens is women, or in the men's prisons we work into, men come in and out, they come off the streets, they're tough, they're scared, they're frightened, they're violent, and these women want to be able to quiet things down without having the guards don't know how to quiet things down, so they wanted the skills to be able to quiet things down, and they did, and they've been very powerful.
Another call here, Doug. Good morning. You're on with Doug Noll. Your question, please.
Yeah, I just watched that little thing about the women's prison. Have you tried that in a men's prison yet?
Yes.
Yep.
And it does work because
it works unbelievably well.
Back when I was younger. I mean, it would have seemed like something like that. We just got into, you put two people like that together in a place, and they just go to killing each other.
I just finished training 17 men at Valley State Prison, all of them murderers, all of them lifers, and they've all turned into being very effective mediators. And actually, the men are much easier to train than the women are. And we're going to be starting the training again with another group of men in late May, and we have found Same place, and we have found that that it's all about the technique and how you go about approaching people. If you give people choices about how to resolve their conflicts, they will always go for mediation before they'll go anywhere else. But it's how you approach them, when you approach them. There are a whole bunch of skills involved with that. We spent 12 weeks teaching these inmates how to do this work. So that the problems that the caller is talking about, where people are squaring off and ready to go violent on each other, we can prevent that from happening.
You worked at another prison too, right?
We work at Valley State Prison for Men, CCWF, Central California Women's Facility, California Institute for Women, the LA County Jail, and the LA County Juvenile Facility. This is a totally pro bono project. We're not paid a dime for this. We pay for all expenses out of our own pockets.
And up in Chowchilla.
And those are the two prisons in Chowchilla, CCWF and VSP.
And the purpose is for these inmates to live in peace?
To live in peace in their communities.
That's the whole purpose?
That's the whole purpose.
All right, another quick call. Okay, last call. Good morning. You're on Connect with Me. We got about 2 minutes left. Quickly, what's your question?
Yeah, you're talking about different sections of problem with the city of Fresno. Would it be better if you direct one problem at a time, or get a group and separate them to direct the problem and try to correct it with the mayor and decisions she makes and city council members?
There are constraints about getting people together around the Brown Act, and that's one of the reasons why there's so little collaborations, because their state laws, the open meeting laws, prevent collaboration with political officials.
The Brown Act is behind closed doors. You can't do it.
Yeah, exactly. And any decisions you make, you have to make in an open meeting.
Right.
And open meetings have to be held in a certain way, and none of that is conducive to collaborative problem solving. So the laws actually prevent our political officials from solving the intractable problems of our region.
All right. Your radio show. You have a radio show. Talk about that. We have a minute left,
Okay.
so I want to get this in.
All right. So every week for the last 10 years, I have been interviewing peacemakers from around the world, giving peacemakers a voice that the mainstream media ignores.
Where?
TheDougKnollShow.com. And the show is The Doug Noll Show, WSRadio.com. WSRadio.com, and the website is TheDougKnollShow.com.
TheDougKnollShow.com.
Right.
Sunday nights?
Thursday night, 7 to 8 Pacific time.
Thursday nights, 7 to 8.
You can also download the archives off of iTunes.
Okay, and one more time, your 800 number?
800-785-4487, direct line to my cell.
I got to say, you're one of the most fascinating guests I've ever talked to on this program. You're incredible and amazing. You got to come back, Doug.
John, anytime. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
All right. I loved having you here as a guest. I appreciate it very much. Doug Noll, a peacemaker here on Connect with Me on MeTV Fresno. That's going to do it for us. We're back with another edition on Monday. Have a great Easter weekend.
Frigidaire. It means the first electric refrigerator, the first room air conditioner, first compact electric range. It means a history of innovations that give you the best results and make your home life better. And now we introduce our latest innovation in cooking, the Frigidaire Gallery range with Symmetry double ovens. It's designed to cook multiple dishes at multiple temperatures, so you can prepare the entire meal at the same time. And our latest innovation in cleaning, the Frigidaire Orbit Clean Dishwasher. Its unique wash arm gives you 4 times more water coverage for a consistently better clean. Frigidaire, over 90 years of legendary innovation.